Where better to start my journey around UK astronomy societies than my own local group, the Norwich Astronomical Society. I've come along to their first public open evening to talk to the public about the search for ET. The search for ET, what I want to really talk to you about tonight is to understand the search for ET is very much about the search for life. And there's a definition for life. It's actually very difficult to find a good definition for life, but the best we've got is that life is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. In searching for extraterrestrials, personally, I wouldn't be satisfied with just finding life. So for me, the search for ET, or the search for extraterrestrials, is actually about finding intelligent life. So if we look at life on Earth is widely varying. These are funny little things called tardigrades or water bears, and they're strange creatures. They're actually incredibly resilient. They can deal with temperatures down to minus 200 degrees. They can exist in temperatures over 150 degrees. They can exist after lethal doses of X-ray radiation. They can exist in vacuums of space for hundreds and hundreds of years. So these things, which we can find all over the Earth, from the tops of the mountains down to the bottoms of canyons, in hot geysers near volcanoes, they seem to survive almost anywhere. And it just makes you realise that actually life on Earth finds its way and can survive in the most extreme hostile conditions. So actually maybe life elsewhere in the universe could find its way in equally hostile and seemingly unlikely conditions. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and effectively all they are, they're organic compounds, not bacteria, they're not life, they're the byproduct of organic activity. So we know that some kind of organic activity has been going on in Mars at some point in the past because we've found its fossilised remains inside a rock that's come from Mars. Now that single discovery in itself shows us that organic processes do go on in places not just here on Earth, and of course that helps us to understand that maybe the conditions for life elsewhere in the universe perhaps are actually quite a bit higher. So the Society moved here back in 1994. When was it you first got into astronomy?
I got into astronomy as a young teenager, but I actually got to Seaton Observatory about 7 years ago. I was brought here by a work colleague.
Was that under duress, or did you have an interest at that point?
I had an interest,
right,
but it was a bit under duress, I suppose. But she said, come along, it'll be interesting. All right then, fair enough. I walked on the site, immediately everyone was friendly, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't think I've hardly missed a Friday since.
Wow, so that's the kind of moment when you realised that astronomy was for you, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd never done visual astronomy. I'd always done theoretical astronomy. And all of a sudden I could look through telescopes, I could use the equipment of the society, I could see what the speakers were telling me was very interesting, and that just made me go.
Of course, it's been quite a few years since I've been too involved here. So what facilities have you got on site now?
We currently have 2 full domes, one with a 14-inch Schmidt array in it, the other one with an 8-inch telescope. We also have a Springfield telescope, which is probably unique in the country. We have 2 imaging runoff sheds, and we also have our society grounds, which allow people to bring their own telescopes and sight them on under dark skies on the society's facilities. In addition to that, we have obviously the kitchen facilities and the clubhouse for communal activity.
So it's not just the observing; it's quite a social atmosphere.
It's very social, and that's one thing I like to stress about the society, is that it's more than looking at the sky.
And clearly you do lots of outreach as well here, not just at the observatory, but out and about. So what kind of things do you do to engage with the public?
We hold public nights about 8 times a year. These are usually presented by members. We have members' nights which bring in the members of the society for lectures and seminars and whatever. We then have group visits where we have local charities, schools, organisations, so Cubs and Scouts and things like this. They can all apply to the society, can we come along for a group visit? And we will provide a lecturer, we will have a small lecture, and then the members of that group can look at the skies, and they get a private visit around the society. And we do that a few times a month.
So it sounds like it's a great place to be a member. You know, I'm one of them, so it's clearly a very social bunch. So, you know, what can you say to encourage people to come along and have a look around and to get involved in the society?
I would say that the important thing to realise is that you don't have to be a geek to be an astronomer. If you come along and are in awe of the skies, I think that's enough. Just come along, look at the skies, enjoy the atmosphere, both the beautiful heavens and the people around, and you will learn a lot, you will enjoy yourself, and I think it will be a really, really good thing to do. I enjoyed it. I'm still here about 8 years later.
Have we tried to communicate with alien civilizations? Well, actually, yes, we have tried. This is the Arecibo radio dish, and it sent this signal off into space 20, 30 odd years ago. So that whole signal was sent off into space in the hope that an alien civilization might detect it and therefore realise that we do exist. But, of course, we've been sending radio signals from television shows out into space ever since we started transmitting radio. So if aliens do exist, already we have been unwittingly sending our signals out into the universe, and there will be something like 500 stars will already have been able to detect our signals. So somewhere there could be an alien civilization tuning in to Neighbours or EastEnders. Imagine that. Are they going to come and find us? Would you? But have we ever detected any signals from space? Well, there was one signal that was picked up, a radio telescope called the Big Ear radio receiver was listening for alien signals, interestingly, but there was one 72-second period of time where this happened, and that shows a really loud burst of radio signal. Now, the engineer who picked that up scribbled "wow" in the side of the readout, and it's been known as the wow signal, because at the time he genuinely thought he had detected a signal from an alien intelligence. Ooh, skid stuff, isn't it? However, and unfortunately, that signal was never detected again. It came from the constellation of Sagittarius, and we've listened to it over and over again to see if we can pick up the same signal to prove that it was actually a genuine signal, and we've never heard it since. 400 billion stars in our galaxy. There's 175 billion galaxies in the universe. 175 billion galaxies, all of which have on average 400 billion stars. If that's the case, then there are 70,000 million stars in our universe. Now, we've looked at a handful of stars when we found those 2,000 planets, or so, just over 2,000 planets. So, given that we now know that there's about 70,000 million stars in our galaxy, then the chances, I think, of one of those stars, just one of those stars, having the right conditions in a planet in orbit around it for life to evolve, I think is incredibly high. And I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you very much for your time.